Hey guys, welcome back to our guitar finishing series here with Behlen's guitar finishing kit. In our last video we put the starburst or sunburst or vignette or whatever you call it on the front of this guitar. It's already got the brown, dark brown on the back and sides, pretty much black almost. And then our Encore brown guitar toner was used to create a fairly solid vignette around the outside here, or burst. And then the rest of this fade was done with Starcast Amber. It's all one color, but it's a very versatile color. When you build it up, it gets darker, right? Just like most transparent paints. So it's like almost reddish orange around the outside here. And then as you get toward the inside, it fades into an amber and then pretty much natural wood. So that's it for the color work on this. Went very smoothly. I got it all done in just a couple spraying sessions. Now it's time to put on the clear. So our clear is this stringed instrument lacquer. And of course we need that on there to protect the color and to build up a nice even finish. So the rules, if you will, for this. You don't need to sand between coats unless something goes wrong. So if you've got a problem with dust or orange peel or whatever, then you can sand to kind of get that out of there. But you don't want to sand between it. Because this is lacquer, you don't have to sand between coats. It will bond chemically. You don't need it to adhere mechanically. It'll melt into itself. Never spray more than 4 coats in a day. You're supposed to use relatively light coats with lacquer. I say relatively light. They can still be, kind of wet. You don't need to just mist it on, but don't pool it on there either, obviously. So yeah, never more than 4 in a day. The instructions for this stuff recommend that you build up 10 coats. The reason for that is they don't want you to sand through it when you go to polish. If you're going to polish it for a gloss finish, a nice mirror finish, you need to sand it flat, and you run the risk of sanding through. Now 10 coats is a lot of paint. That's fine if you're going to be sanding a bunch of that off when you go to do your polishing. For me personally, I know that this kit was designed for acoustic guitars. I don't love the idea of having 10 coats of paint on an acoustic guitar on the soundboard because that can affect the vibration. That's a lot of paint. However, again, if you're going to be sanding a lot of that off when you go to polish it, then you're doing that 10 coats to be safe, and you don't have to be as careful. Well, you don't have to be as worried when you're sanding about going through it and screwing up your color and whatnot. So we're going to follow the recommendations on this one. Particularly when you're doing an electric guitar, there's really no reason not to do it. The only problem is when you build up too many coats, you kind of heighten your risk of a product failure. But 10 should be fine. It says to wait at least an hour between coats. Longer is better. The reason for that is if you build up more coats on top of paint that hasn't fully dried, it's not going to dry as efficiently, right? So we're going to have a waiting period after this where this whole thing is going to have to dry. But for now, at least an hour between coats. Some people recommend a day between coats of lacquer. And again, not more than 4 in a day if you're trying to go the aggressive, faster route. I'm probably going to go 2 a day. It's going to take me a while because I don't know if I'll be spraying it every day, but 2 a day, and yeah, at least an hour apart. I think I'm repeating myself now, so yeah, we're gonna go in and spray it. When you're doing the faces, it's best, in my opinion, to have it horizontal, have it flat. That allows you to kind of build it up more evenly and not have to worry so much about runs. Be careful of runs on the edges. Don't spray too heavily in those areas. And I would suggest that you finish the back first so that you can then go and confidently spray the front without having to worry about flipping it over and having the lacquer imprint on there, particularly, or obviously, if you don't have a guitar stand. So that's it. Let's get started. I'm going to mask up, bring the camera in closer, and we'll get spraying. So the clear coat is just like any other coat of paint on this. You just make sure the can's well shaken. I like to start with the edges so that I don't have to worry about the overspray so much. And what I mean by that is as you spray the edges, a bunch of overspray tends to get on the flat area, on the back in this case. So the best way for me to get rid of that overspray is to then paint over it, because that will encompass all of that overspray within the wet paint and then get rid of it, essentially. So I spray all my edges first. It looks like I had to pick something out of the finish there, probably a hair or something, but that wasn't a problem because that area wasn't wet yet. And then once I've got all the edges done, I can just go back over the entire top with overlapping strokes. So what I'm trying to do here is overlap each prior stroke by about 50%. You may have seen me kind of explain this more thoroughly in my how to get an even coat of paint with spray cans video. So yeah, I'm overlapping every stroke. And then here we have a very dizzying view of me doing the front. This is after having done 10 coats on the back and given that enough time to dry that I could flip it over safely. So here I'm holding the camera in my hand. I apologize for that. I kind of did this during work hours and I didn't want to set up and everything, but I also thought it would give a nice close-up view of me doing this. And at least you're only going to have to watch me do it once. Alright guys, so that's about it. You do your 10 coats of clear on, well, I started with the back. Looks pretty good. And then your 10 coats of clear on the front, which also is looking pretty darn good. And then what we have to do is let it sit for a week. So it hasn't been long since I finished clear coating the front of this guy. It now needs to sit for a week. I'm going to let it, harden up all the way over that course of time. And then I'll come back and I'll move on to the sanding and the polishing. So basically, it probably take me 2 weeks to, let it rest for a week, film the next video, edit it, and get it up. So 2 weeks from now, we'll go through and do the sand and polish process on this, hopefully all in one video, and that'll be it for the series. So far, I'm very happy with this. It's looking pretty damn good, if I do say so myself, which I have to because nobody else is here to say it. And yeah, that's it. So thanks for watching. As always, if you have any questions, let me know in the comment section below. And stay tuned. We'll be finishing this one up soon. Have a good one.